Hi, everybody. This is day two. Well, when you open this, I guess it's going to be day three of our online learning session. It's a little lonely. I feel like I have so appreciated emails from you guys, just checking in because I miss you all. Ivana, I miss you talking about Love is Blind. And Kevin, I miss you when I come in and you ask what movie we're watching today. And I miss all of you. So shoot me a little email and just check in with me if you can. I'd love to hear from you. But I hope you're all doing well, and I hope every class is going well. I was so super pleased that I felt like almost all of you got my work done pretty quickly. I had like my stuff graded, and Father Peter checked in one time and he's like, did many of your kids jump on? And I'm like, I think almost everybody kind of did my work at the very beginning of the day yesterday. So kudos to you all. I hope you haven't found me too boring listening to, and the videos too boring, but I just want to say you guys are doing a great job and I miss you all. So I'll be quick today with my notes. We're going to go over schizophrenia today. Do you want to say hi? Charlie wants to come and say hello.
Hi.
Hi. She wants to show you her St. Patrick's Day shirt that she was supposed to wear at school today. And if you remember me talking about ordering it on Amazon, this is it. So happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy
You right? We're doing a little online learning as well at St. Vincent Martyr. It's a lot of work. Did not get my degree in elementary education, so it's a little challenging to have my sidekick here all day. But it's been fun. Sorry about my hair. I just got done working out a little bit ago. So, I'm riding my Peloton so much. So, okay, anyways, back to notes. We'll see you later. Hit the road. Okay. So again, let me stun you with my learning objectives here. Gotta, keep Rob Loya in the picture here because he loved those. Okay, so we are gonna start. So I go out of order a little bit with the book, only because schizophrenia tends to be like all over the AP test. It's always on there, and I feel like there's a lot of questions that are about it, from like even the bio unit. So I always go over schizophrenia. I really want you guys to know the differences with schizophrenia and the positive and negative symptoms of that as well. So I'm a little out of order on the reading guide, but you'll manage, I'm sure. Okay. So schizophrenia, what that is basically, this is one of the psychotic disorders in the DSM-5. And it's just, you've completely lost contact with reality. So it's characterized by delusions, hallucinations, disorganized speech, diminished expression, like that flat affect. And then there's even some inappropriate emotional expressions, where when you're not supposed to, or you're crying when you're not supposed to. So those are all characterized in the schizophrenia category. And keep in mind, it's a psychotic disorder. So when we get in the treatment unit, we're gonna, that would be, you get medication for, so an antipsychotic medication, and treatment therapy would be a little bit different with schizophrenic patients, okay? Okay, so I wanna kind of talk about how the symptoms are gonna vary. And you're going to see like positive and negative symptoms here. But I don't want you to think of them in terms of good or bad. So positive symptoms, that's really the presence of symptoms. And then negative symptoms are going to be the absence of appropriate symptoms. So let me say that again. A positive symptom, that's going to be something that's added. So it's going to be like delusions, hallucinations, erratic or emotional behavior. So it's something that's added. And then negative symptoms are going to be appropriate behavior that's, there's like an absence, okay? Positive is a presence of inappropriate. Negative is the absence of appropriate, okay? So let's talk about what some of these positive symptoms look like. With delusions, these are really like false thoughts, like the president of the United States is an alien. Like those are just out there thoughts. Like I'm Queen Elizabeth. Um, some patients, they believe they're God or they're like the president or a rock star or those kinds of things. So delusions are really more in the cognitive functioning. It's like a cognitive symptom. Um, so it's dysfunctions in that. So they're thinking that they're something that they're not. So they're false thoughts. Okay. You can also have like delusions of reference. And that again would be, I that pin drop involves me, or assassination of this president involved me. Those would all be like delusions of reference. Okay. Hallucinations. This one is a really common one with schizophrenia. So you're going to be like, it's false sensory experiences. So anything with hallucinations, it's like false perceptions. So remember, with perceptions, it's like all of our senses. So seeing, feeling, tasting, smelling, those would all be things that aren't there. So they can hear things that aren't there. They can see things that aren't there. They can taste things that aren't there. So most often hallucinations manifest themselves with hearing more than anything. So they're going to hear things that aren't there. But there's a couple videos that I'm going to link into the assignment. I really just want you to watch one, but if you're interested in watching multiple, they're on there. Just so you can kind of get an idea of what it would be like to live with like constantly hearing something. There's a really good one. Oh, I forget what his name is. I'll link it in. They'll all be in the assignment. But if you want some frame of references, there'll be some extras if you want to. Okay, so these voices might even tell them to do bad things. So, that would all be in this hallucinations. And again, that's the most popular one of the symptoms. It's the most common, not most popular, most common. Okay. All right. And then I had this really cool simulation that I was going to have you guys do. Unfortunately, I can't do that because we're not together. Okay, and then word salad. This is just really just choppy, disorganized speech. Like you really can't even understand their chain of thought. It's just like they're making no sense. It's just jumbled words, and it literally like has no meaning. It's just they keep talking and nothing makes sense, and that's called word salad. You see that sometimes. I've seen that a few times pop up on the AP exam. And then it's going to be those inappropriate emotional responses. So that's going to be like laughing at inappropriate times or crying at inappropriate times. So it's just these real inappropriate emotional responses. And again, these are all under the positive symptoms. So we're adding an inappropriate, like a presence of an inappropriate behavior. And the last one here is catatonia. And I'm going to link in again in the assignment sheet, like just, if you want to see what some of these look like word salad or catatonia, I'm going to link those in. There's like a couple minute videos just so you can kind of see, what that would look like. Okay. All right. And so catatonia is really like movement abnormalities. So it's just this like, sitting motionless for an unresponsive for like hours. So it's just this like, or it's like really rigid, choppy movements. That's like kind of what catatonia looks like. Okay, so again, positive symptoms for schizophrenia, we're adding, it's the presence of an inappropriate behavior. Okay, so hallucinations, delusions, word salad, catatonia, something like that. Okay, all right. So these negative symptoms, those are going to be the absence of appropriate behavior. Okay. So expressionless. So that flat affect. So there's just like, there's nothing going on. It's just this flat affect. You also sometimes can see like a social withdrawal with that. Sometimes negative symptoms would be like mute or toneless voice. And definitely a diminished emotional response. There's like absolutely no emotional response with this. Okay. So sometimes you can kind of get schizophrenia. They call it like an acute or reactive schizophrenia. And that is sometimes a sudden reaction to stress. But more times than not, it's going to be um, these symptoms are more chronic, and and that's more like over time. And it usually develops, oddly enough, like in late teen and early adult years. Um, that's usually when it kind of happens when you get this. Okay. So again, there's a couple, like you can see in here, like I've linked also, like there's a couple videos. I don't know if you can open them. I think you can in the Prezi, um, but I'll link them into that sheet again, into the oh, the little assignment that I have for tomorrow. Okay. All right. One. Okay, so they're called positive and negative because positive is you're adding an inappropriate behavior, and negative you're adding, you're taking away an appropriate behavior. Okay, and the DSM-5, what we talked about yesterday or 2 days ago for you, that big purple book, the DSM-5, it's where we categorize all disorders. Schizophrenia would be in the psychotic disorders, and then it requires two of these symptoms. Um, like positive symptoms are a little bit more reliable, but you have to have two symptoms and you have to have them for 6 months, at least 6 months, in order to get the schizophrenia diagnosis. Okay. And I know a couple of you shared with me yesterday that you have relatives or you know people that have schizophrenia. You know, it's certainly you can take medication for this, antipsychotics. You can live a normal life with this. You know, I think sometimes with medication though that they think that they're doing so well and they don't need it anymore. So sometimes then they don't take their medication. And then with schizophrenia, you really need to have a good, you know, routine with your medication. Okay, that's really the best form of treatment with schizophrenia. And we'll talk more about that in Unit 13. But thanks to those of you who did share that you know people that have this. Okay, so just quickly understanding schizophrenia. So just a couple things here. You know, no environmental causes have been discovered, which will invariably or even with moderate probability produce schizophrenia. But, you know, they're saying it's, you know, genetic studies really show that it's highly related to genetics, like twins, when they've studied them, they see that, one of the twins, the other one has a higher chance to get schizophrenia. So there's a large biological component with it as well. Okay, and you can kind of see in here, I wonder if I can move my face. Oh, I can. You can see like identical twins down here. There's a 48% risk of them developing schizophrenia there. Okay, so all genetic studies show schizophrenia is highly related to genetics. And then we know from studying the bio unit that dopamine is low dopamine or high dopamine is really, one of the causes. High amounts of dopamine in the brain shows that, high amounts of it is it's one of the causes of that. Okay, so dopamine has the chemical makeup like cocaine. So again, when you think about like high amounts of that, you can see where like hallucinations and those things would happen. There's also, it's in the frontal lobe. You can see when you do like a PET scan, there's a lot going on. And, with the PET scan, remember that's where you drink the glucose and they can see the activity in your brain. So in the frontal lobes, they're seeing that it like lights up with that when they do the PET scan. Because the frontal lobe and the temporal lobes also sometimes are in there too with that. There's a lot more activity. But frontal lobes, it's where like the neuron fires and there's impairment of judgment and self-control. Thalamus and amygdala also light up on the PET scan as well. And they can see a lot when they do fMRIs, I believe, too. You can kind of see there's like less gray matter and stuff around that. So Possible explanation for positive symptoms is from the dopamine. Oh, I did show a PET scanning here. I forgot I had this in here. So good. So now you can see, the frontal lobes, how those will look. So this is like a normal brain, someone that doesn't have schizophrenia, and then you can see this is a schizophrenic brain. So you can see kind of all those areas lighten up when they've been given the glucose in there. Okay. Sometimes viruses, a fetal virus, especially when women are pregnant and then they've been exposed to some virus, they have seen that correlates to, schizophrenia, then later is develops, because they've been exposed. Usually it's in the second trimester. They've been exposed to a virus. Okay. That is it. I'm sorry I went a little longer. I think it was Charlie. But again, hope you guys are doing well. I'll have the assignment. Obviously, if you're seeing this, you see the assignment. Part of the assignment today is just a short video. There's a TED Talk. I think it's like 15 minutes, maybe less than that. So just, write me up a quick couple sentence reaction to that. And then I have 8 questions all about schizophrenia on the AP Classroom. And none of those you need the lockdown browser. You'll be able to get in there, no problem. And you have till 11:59 to do it. And it's only 8 questions, and everything is related to what we just talked about. So you should all do really well on that. Okay, if you have questions or just want to check in, I'd love to hear from you. I miss you all. And until next time, okay? Take care, guys. Bye.